Wow, you are not going to want to miss this video. We met up with Chris and his wife Pat on the way back from a trip. You remember Chris from the Keys? He had an amazing camper that we toured. Well, he sold that, but over the summer he rebuilt a 1977 fiberglass Trillium, and we have a tour of it. Check it out.
We ran into Chris, who we met down in the Florida Keys. At that time, Chris had a converted cargo trailer. Now he's got an egg.
We call it the bubble.
A bubble.
Okay. It is definitely...
It's very hippie-ish.
It is.
Which is cool.
It harkens back to a better time, I think, which is just what we were talking about. Yeah. There's a level of joy that you get from hauling something like this that you don't get hauling a cargo trailer.
Right.
People are interested in the cargo trailer, but you'll get an 18-wheeler will pull up beside you on the BQE, which I had when I first took it out, and they stop traffic. Or, where did you get it from? What year is it? You know, that would look great being towed behind my Bel Air. I mean, this is, as the Trillium, this is, if people don't know, this is a Trillium, and that's the flower, and it was produced back in the early 70s. This is a 77. The exterior is all original in terms of the original locks, original windows. We removed all the jalousies, we cleaned them all up, resealed them. This had been dry blasted, the trailer, and then 4 coats of epoxy resin paint put on top. We did it in one color and didn't like the solid color. When I brought it back after I had it painted while we were down in Florida, and so we picked this out, which is seafoam green, I think they consider it, but it actually really is a nice color. We bumped the wheels up from a 13 to a 14 inch, and that makes such a difference. Just that size matters, but it really did make a difference towing. So the effort and energy put into this, if you remember the cargo trailer that I did before, that we built from the ground up, this is very similar in terms of the energy and the effort that we put in, because we did a full frame-off restoration.
Well, I know you were in touch with us while it was going on, and you sounded very frustrated.
Oh, it's a freaking nightmare. Well, there's not an edge or a corner, you know, a sharp edge or a corner, and so when you see inside, you'll realize what I'm talking about. But things like, you know, I had to redo the hinge and I've got it painted, but you know, these hinges are somewhere in the region of $250 a pair if you can find them. $400 for the lock, you know, for the lock set. So when we did this, I removed the belly band, I removed the rub rail, everything was off, and I've got photographs to show exactly what we did, ripping the full interior out. I did not listen to my wonderful wife, who's behind Sharon right now, who said, "Don't rip the inside out, you're going to regret it." And I was like, "Oh no, it'll be fine." And it was a bit of a nightmare. But you know, we did things like we extended the tongue by nearly 18 inches so that we get a little bit more distance, because the idea was originally to put our e-bikes in between, which actually we're going to do. I'm going to remove the toolbox and I'm going to set it up so the rack goes here. So it gives me a little bit more weight on the front and reduces the bounce on the trailer itself. You know, it's got a 3,500 pound torsion axle on it. We repacked the bearings. We did absolutely everything. Like I said, we extended that tongue. I put a 2-inch ball hitch on it, as opposed to an 1 3/4 inch.
The first axle, that one has the coils.
Yeah, the coils, and they're great. I mean, it really is good. But this is light. It only weighs 1,700 pounds fully. You know, wet weight is 1,700. Yeah. So, you know, this can be towed, and that was the real aspect, was to be able to tow this with anything. You know, and like everything we do, you have to think about the future. Hey, what are we going to do? Are we going to keep it? How are we going to deal with it? You know. But when we got it, and I'll give you guys some photographs, because I'll send you some out of the originals. We found this in Florida, and it actually came from upstate New York, from a land preserve up there, and the people have been living in it for about 25 years. And so when we got it, it was a little bit rough, but they'd taken it at the beginning of the pandemic. They drove it from New York to Florida, and they stayed on a friend's farm out there. Then they said, okay, we're all done. I don't know how many people were living there, but we found some nice little bits and pieces in it. I'm waiting to find the original owners so that we can give it to them. they don't need to get the hearing aid back that I found tucked under one of the cushions. But you know, there's things like I have a USB drive that has a whole bunch of wedding photographs and things like that. But it gave it that extra little bit of history. But it's you know, this is the third or fourth time we've had it out. We just put 3,000 miles on it this trip, and as you know, the last trip we did 13,500 in the cargo trailer. I think we put a total of 20,000 on that cargo trailer over a year, just a year and a half time. And we sold that one when I was in, just before I bought this one. I thought, oh, I'll advertise it, see what I can get for it, you know. And the young girl from New York came out to Florida and bought it and took it away. Much to my wife's, just frowny face back then.
And a little more room in the other one.
And a ton more room. But it's got its up and its downside, right? We are averaging 15.8 miles to the gallon pulling this thing behind the truck.
Right.
And this is the F-150 EcoBoost, so it really is nice. But we've been, what did we do? We did Ohio, and then out.
Without about 17.
Yeah, we got 17, an easy 17. If I nurse it and keep it below 70 and keep the RPMs below 2,000, I'll get 19 to 20 out of it. And when you're doing a lot of miles, it makes a huge difference.
Yeah.
You know, I had originally looked at the Ford Flexes to tow this because I like the Ford Flex. But we talk about space. The crucial part about being able to be in 60 square feet. I mean, this is 60 square feet of space. It's 10 by 6'2", so it's a little bit more. It's 6 more inside. Is that you've got to have a huge bloody truck, because if you don't, you've got nowhere else to put your crap. Pat and I did, what did we do? 4 days in Kentucky at a hip camp, which was fabulous. Dragonfly Ranch? Yeah, which is great. We were on a hilltop. You're not going to haul a 30-foot unit up onto that, through a farm field and everywhere else, and be able to sit up there and see those amazing, sunrises and sunsets and all of those things. The bigger deal is, what makes this more difficult is if we're doing, and we're in a Cracker Barrel parking lot right now, which is where we spend an inordinate amount of time. Thank you, Cracker Barrel. It's a shameless plug for Cracker Barrel, because they are fabulous. They let you spend the night over there, just as we've got this huge bus over here that's obviously spent the night or two. But when you're only doing a solitary night, it's a little bit more awkward in a small trailer, right? Because you're moving stuff around and you're shifting things over into corners, and especially in this. The idea is to try and be able to create a space, and you'll see inside, to create a space that is a cooperative area, right? That you're not jamming stuff in. And if you look, we've got the 2 e-bikes on the back. We had the wrong carrier on there. By the time we got to Alabama this year, I had destroyed, the paint on one of the bikes. So we had to go buy a new bike carrier, which then allowed us not to be half an hour to get the bikes off the carrier, but 5 minutes to get the bikes off the carrier, because it's a much better bike carrier. I believe, like I said, it should go here, the toolbox should go on the back, but it's simple stuff like, if you think about it, what we've got here is, I went out and I bought an EcoFlow. So I can charge this in an hour and a half anywhere. I can charge it off our solar panel. I keep it in there. It's cool enough to run, but this will run the whole trailer for 2 weeks if I don't run the fridge. And the fridge is a 3-way. It's propane, 12 volt, and 110. So we never need to hook up anything. If you stop off, like I said, I can plug that in and charge it in an hour and a half, and so it'll run all our lights and everything else, which is nice. And I can take it out of there, and I can stick it and lock it up in the back of the truck. Or I can take it with us if we're going to go somewhere else just in the truck, which means that we can leave the truck, take the bikes, hook the bikes up here, take that, go for a ride somewhere, use that if we want to. It makes a difference. I don't have an internal battery. If you remember the last one we had a really complicated, and it was a whole complicated system. This is really portable. I've got this in the smaller one. I bought a set. And I have the portable solar panel. My plan is to put one panel on top, but it'll be the thin panel, which will then get stuck to the top of the roof. So that we'll then run out and we can charge that from here as well. But It means that we can keep this out of the weather, but it can also be moved out, so you're not carrying that much weight in here. All of those things, I think, that make a huge difference. You know, but if you want to have a look inside.
Hey, remember to like, share, and subscribe if you like this video.
Everything is always in flux, right? Everything is always in transition. So as we go along and we find out, you know, you put 6,000, 7,000 miles on something, you realize that something's not working.
I want to see if you fit in here. Alrighty.
So, but the previous owners had hacked everything to pieces. They'd hacked the cabinets apart, you know, the doors were falling off, there was cracks and everything else. And the initial response was, don't do anything to it, just frame it out, paint it, and leave it as it was. I can't do that. You know, there was a bench across here, and the bed, and then it had the dinette set up over here. So the idea was that I didn't like, for instance, we were just talking about setting up and breaking down. If we're going to be in one place for 4 or 5 days, we pull the bed down and the bed stays in the same place. If we're going to travel around a little bit and we want to stop at a site, we're going to put the bed back up so that we can have a couch. It just depends on, so really it's almost the opposite, really, because if you're going to stop at night, you might as well leave it down at night. But if we know that we don't want things to rattle around, pull the bed down, it's easy. It takes 5 minutes. If you want to come in, I'll show you. We have storage underneath either side. I have a 5-gallon tank. Now again, we had a 25-gallon tank in our last one. Initially, I was going to put in 2 10-gallon tanks. Again, it's about weight. How much water do we really use? And the other thing is, how much do we actually need? Yeah. You know, so with this, it was really about going truly minimalist compared to the cargo trailer that we had. And I loved. I couldn't fault that with a full bathroom. You know, we built that stainless steel shower in there, the whole bit. This is similar, but on a smaller level. Oh, the only original thing in here, by the way, is the sink. This is the only. I said I'm keeping at least one thing out of that camper. So we ripped everything out. I ripped the cabinets out. I built these. We built them in. I've got a curved piece of 3/4 inch ply that runs all the way from the top here all the way down to the bottom, so that I got the curve of it. It's fiberglass resin and sheet to the walls. Same thing with this. We did the same thing with the cabinet here. Excuse it, it's a little bit of a mess, but you know, this is our medicine cabinet, and you know, storage of towels and bits and pieces. And as Pat said, everybody has one of these. A junk drawer.
Oh, yes.
You gotta have a junk drawer. And then I built a massive drawer here, which we keep, you know, all our bowls and pots and pans. But how much do you really need, right? And that's really what it comes down to. So I have a 3-gallon water butt that goes under there for collection. You can opt to run the water straight down onto the ground, because all this is soap and water. It's not like we're putting anything else in there. Here, which is the same as the one that we had before, but it's our that's our instant hot water, so you can adjust it from there. I've got a foil backing up on top of the cabinet there to deflect the heat.
Right.
It works great. The only thing you've got to do is you've got to be able to shove it back in and hook it back, otherwise it will slide out when you're riding along.
Now, is that running off a 12 volt or?
That is gas. That's full gas. That's propane. Okay. Yeah. So, and the other thing is, you know, everything's got to have a dual purpose, right? Everything's got to have a multi-purpose, I think, in a space like this. So, excuse me, Sharon. For instance, the kitchen drawer.
Oh, that's smart.
Comes out. Then, when we stop and we have some lunch.
Oh, wow.
That's our, look, okay, look, is it?
Wow, that is clever.
Are you going to do arts and crafts on this? No, you're not. But are you going to eat a bowl of cereal on this or have lunch on it? And then we have a camp chair that we come along and we sit that side. It's great for working on the computer. You pull the chair forward just a little bit, gives you the height you need. This was a great buy. I mean, you know, it's 3-way fan. Yeah. Mm-hmm. It will suck the covering off the wall in here.
Talk about your
okay, this cover. Is now the original ones had a vinyl covered foam, And if you've seen the photographs, then you'll see how bad it was. I mean, it was disgusting. It was mildewed. It was peeling off the walls. So when I called Trillium, the guys that now do the Trillium, I said, "What do you use?" He goes, "We use hull liner. Thing called a hull liner." So this goes on the inside of a boat. It is not the best job in the world. My joints may not be the best, but I've never done anything like that before. But one of the problems with a lot of campers is that they become the heat that's produced, because it gets, you know, that surface gets 120 degrees. Yeah. They use the wrong glue. So there is $450 worth of 3M spray glue along with a 1/4 inch foam on the back of this. Right. This was the biggest challenge. This is a piece of carpeting with foam. So this came out of Home Depot. So this is hull liner, which is what they use in most boats to line the inside, you know, to line the cabins in. It works as insulation. It works as sound deadening. I slept in this a couple of times before we put the cover on here, and it was just bare fiberglass, because we had to clean everything off. I had to clean all the old foam off, right, all the old glue. It took about 4 days to do it. But when you sleep in it, it sweats, and the condensation is unbelievable. Yeah. And that's a big problem in these small trailers, is condensation. So you want to be able to run a decent fan. I did things like I didn't put the heater back in here. You don't need a bloody heater in here. This is all you need. You run that for 10 minutes, and I use our buddy heater, but you run that for 10 minutes and you stick the fan on, you're done. It is too bloody warm in here. We were at 34 degrees the other night in Kentucky. And at 34 degrees, I ran that for about 10 minutes. The only thing that gets cold is your nose, right? Because you've got plenty of blanket. But this in itself is like a mini hot water bottle.
Where's your bathroom and shower?
Thank you. We don't have a shower. Now, that would be the one thing that I would say that we talk about putting an outside shower. But what we came to the conclusion was that, it's a shameless plug for Planet Fitness, but if you join Planet Fitness and you pay for their Black membership, and by the way, this is the other bit which we use, so it goes on there so that you've got a secondary unit on there. My water works. Excuse the toilet roll. I put a secondary kill switch on here because it's just easier. So this is our shower. You ask where the shower is? It's right there, because what you're going to do is soak your head, right? But Planet Fitness, with their Black membership, allows you two of you to use their shower, their gym, any of their health facilities, and they're all over the place. Right. And there are there's a lot of them that are 24/7.
Some will let you can sleep in their parking lot.
Yeah, if they're a 24-hour, if they're not a 24-hour, the word is that they won't let you do it. Right. And more people, because too many people are on that side bit, which is a little political in a weird way, but it's that people are abusing those privileges. Yeah. So they're pulling in, they're spending the day in their RV, in a Cracker Barrel or in a Walmart, and they're dropping their trailers. These places aren't RV parks. They're a place for us to go and spend the night, right? Or return. When we were down in the Keys, I went back to the same Walmart just outside the Keys 3 nights in a row. But I didn't leave my trailer there, right? Yeah. Because it's just rude. So you ask where the toilet is. Now, normally, there's a privacy curtain here. I didn't bring it with us because Pat and I have been together for 42 years. We don't need a lot of privacy. Usually at night, we will take these 2 cushions and we'll put them in the truck. I then take this and it goes under the bed. It goes under the mattress. And there's the crappy A. So now don't worry, there's nothing in there.
Thank you.
So, I mean, there's stuff in there, but there's no poop and there's no pee. So there's no hamsters in here. So if you give a quick shot, again, this is what we call the separate. So it separates the...
It's clean, people.
It's clean. It really is clean, but we use sawdust. We use a little bit of cat litter. And thank you, Starbucks, we use coffee grounds, because coffee grounds, once they're dried out a little bit, they absorb a lot of the odor and everything else. Again, we talked about this a year and a half ago. That's a diaper, right? Because it's dry. You're separating the pee and you're separating the shit from it. So you take that bag, you tie it up, it goes into a dumpster, into a garbage. You got to be good friends to be able to do that. You cannot be.
Oh, you have everything you need.
That's exactly it.
In
and you
this
only
tiny
use
place.
it when you have to. So you're a Cracker Barrel, you use their crapper.
Yeah.
So we
This
call
is
it Crapper
awesome.
Barrel, by the way.
Oh, does it have a name?
This, it's the Bubble.
The
Right
Bubble.
now it's called the Bubble. I made all the cushions for us. I did the cabinetry.
Well, Chris did another amazing build or rebuild. I don't know. Rick, if you would have come home with something looking like this, I would have had some serious doubts. I really would have. But this is his second build, and I don't know if he's going to keep this one, sell it, rent it out. If he's got a third one in him, probably, knowing Chris. One of my favorite things about this RV camping lifestyle is the people that you meet. And we met Chris a couple years ago, and we just met his wife. We all get along really well. Great people. We enjoyed meeting up with them, and hopefully we'll do some camping soon.
You all come back now, you hear?